What do you do when you get a lump sum amount? It could be a refund, it could be a proceeds of a stock options, it could be uh, some gains that you made on in the stock market. If it's we are talking about a large amount of money, how can you make that large amount of money or a lump sum or a windfall converted into a lifelong advantage? Yes, we can do that, and there are tips waiting for you in this particular video. Welcome to Fund to Money, your 24 into 7 buddy for all your money matters. As I just mentioned in this video, we will tell you how you can make a lump sum amount of money or a windfall, and how you can turn this into a lifelong advantage. But for that, you'll have to wait just a little longer. How do you turn a windfall or a lump sum amount that's coming to you into a lifelong advantage? How do you make it count till the end of your life or forever? Actually, it's not all that difficult. But the irony of it all is whenever people get large sums of money, they end up squandering it. It need not be that way. You can actually make it count for a very, very long period of time. How do you do that? Now, it's important to make a distinction here. We are not, when we are talking about lump sum amount, we are not talking about things like severance pay, premature retirement, because for there, you have to actually replace you basically have to make provisions for your regular income and other stuff. So that's a separate discussion. We'll be doing that in a separate video. But here we're talking about you're leading a regular life and you suddenly get this inheritance or a stock option proceeds or a refund or what have you. So it's basically a lump sum. So what are the steps that you need to take? Number one step is you need to cool off. You need to put that money at a place where you will not be using it. It's not as if you get the large amount of money and you start using it. Don't do that. Just keep the money at a separate place. It could be a liquid fund, it could be a separate savings account, but make sure that it's not something where you'll be able to draw upon quickly. Why? Because for that large amount of money, you need a plan. Without a plan, you won't be able to make this money go that massive distance that it can and do amazing things which a lump sum or a windfall can do. So number one is park it at a separate place, cool off, because you need to make a plan. So that's number one. Now, what is the next step that you need to do? You need to figure out whether you need to pay taxes, because that money that has come to you is not all yours. Some of that money needs to go to the government, and the taxman would be watching that. So instead of feeling sorry later, try to figure out how much do you need to pay the taxman. Next, you need to figure out whether there is any avenue of saving taxes. So suppose it's a real estate sort of proceeds that has come to you, then there are other sources of that. Now there are in that case you have made capital gains, and there are to save those tax on capital gains, there are bonds. So there are tax saving avenues. Figure out whether there are any tax saving avenues or not. So in this case that I mentioned, there are tax saving bonds like REC bonds, which give you Section 54 EC benefits. These details can be found. You can actually talk to a tax expert. There'll be some discussions on the channel as well. But important thing is you're doing everything you can to figure out whether you can actually save tax on the amount of money that you've got. You may not, that may involve you not getting access to the money right away, but that's okay. I mean, it'll come to you eventually. Also see whether you can hike up your Section 80C and other deductions, so that what happens is the money is getting deployed in a way that it eventually benefits you. So now that you've done all that, deduct that whole bit and figure out what is the amount that's left at your disposal. This is the amount that you will need to work on. I mean, the other parts of the money which you would have invested for tax saving, etc., they'll obviously come back to you. But this is the part which is net of taxes is the part that's available to you. Now, what are you supposed to do with it? Now, the way we are going in this particular discussion, you might be wondering, oh my God, uh, do we not get to spend the money at all? Of course, you need to, you need to keep some amount for your expenses, things that you want to do. But make sure, at Fundamoney will recommend that make sure it's not more than 25% of this disposable net of taxes amount, because you need to do other important things that which we'll mention. So this 25% can be kept separately, and preferably they could be used to address things that you need, where it's important for you to buy something, maybe a gadget needs replacement or something else. So things that you need, and maybe if the amount has been large that you've got, then you can go to things that you want, you're really aspiring for it, and now you've got the money. But that should not be your first stop. First stop is, this is already down to a third or fourth step that we're talking about. So that's this is the next step. What for the money now that remains, what should you be doing? Number one is look out whether you have any costly loans, credit card outstanding, personal loans, car loans. Car loan, if you're trying to prepay, then you might have to pay some kind of penalty. If there's a outstanding home loan, what you could do is try and part prepay that. If you can fully prepay it, fine. So get rid of the loans. So what it does is, anything that you, because eventually we are taking you towards investment, but for any kind of great growth investments, there is an uncertainty. But in loans, the payout is absolutely certain. You have to pay that amount. So what you're trying to do by prepaying or finishing off your loans, retiring your loans, is you're making sure that those commitments are off, and you're completely in control of the money that you have at hand. So you're in control of the assets. There are no obligations. So you're very free. You have larger disposable income, and what better than a windfall or a lump sum to do that? So that's the next step. Now that you've done that, and if you got rid of loans or you didn't have loans, then you move on to the next step. Which is this next step? You basically now have a pretty significant amount of money which you can make it grow. If the same amount of, if you have been investing in fixed deposit and fixed income and low risk, low return kind of investments so far, this is the time for you to experiment with or and graduate onto higher risk, higher growth kind of investment, which will obviously be recommending equity funds because of various reasons. You can look at some of the videos in this channel on equity funds. They with smaller amounts of investments, you can do it regularly. You can put a lump sum amount, which will be put regularly through systematic transfer plans. When you do normal regular investment, systematic investment plans. So either you put a lump sum amount and make it get invested regularly, or you do a regular investment. Whatever you choose, you can get some help from an expert or an advisor, somebody you trust. This plan can be made, and the idea is to make this money go into growth investments, so that over a period of 8 or 10 years, which is the case with equity funds, you end up getting that growth where the money is has grown much faster than inflation. And things like, you can earmark some of these combinations of equity fund investments for child's higher education, your retirement, important requirements. So make sure that you're doing that. How much should you be doing? That disposable amount, which was net of taxes, we would suggest about 25% of that goes here. So 25% you're spending, remaining you can get rid of the loans. If some amount is left, then maybe you can do some kind of a balance. But if some amount is left, then 25% try to, as far as possible, try to get there and get these investments going. So what it does is it makes sure that some amount is going into those growth investments. If there is some more money still left, what you could do is bolster your liquidity position. You might be having something coming up in the next 1 year or so, and it's not a bad idea if you put in some money in, say, debt funds or things like that, or you can increase your if you don't want to do that, you're comfortable with the liquidity position, then what you could do is you can consider investments like public provident fund, which don't get taxed even at the contribution or interest or at the maturity level. So it could be it could be in your name, it could be in your child's name. So this whole plan, we have given you a step-by-step process. Now, this whole plan has got these elements. You have to put them all together. The liquidity bit that we were talking about, it's a great idea to consider 10% of that money being deployed there. So we have already talked about 25% for your spending money, 25% for your growth investment, 10% for your liquidity. But these investments come after you've retired the loan. If you end up exhausting everything after retiring the loan, then you don't need to do it. But in any case, what it does, it frees up your regular income, and you can invest. But if you have money left, what you can do is do these kind of investments. How does this whole plan sound to you? Do you find this a certain kind of logic where you're being able to balance everything? Do tell us what you feel. If there are other suggestions that you have, please put it in the comment section. If there are other smarter ways of managing a lump sum and making it count, please do share it with us in the comment section. Please use the closed caption feature in this video to get the highlights on the video as you're watching it. Go to the description section. There'll be useful information, links, and highlights of this discussion. Uh, Please stay connected with us on all leading social media platforms. And of course, visit our website www.fundomoney.com.